Hello, English learners! Welcome to a new podcast episode here on Story Orbit N. I'm Jessica.
And I'm Tom. Welcome back. We are so happy you're here.
Today is going to be such a fun episode. So, before sitting down to film the podcast, Tom was telling me the most embarrassing story about what happened to him at a restaurant last weekend. Tom, do you want to tell them?
No, you tell them. I don't want to relive that moment.
Fine, I will tell them. So, he said that he had so much trouble ordering food at this super modern restaurant. He tried to be fancy and order sparkling water, and somehow, instead of ordering 2 bottles, he ordered 20. 20 bottles! And yeah, it cost him a lot of money.
It was horrible. I literally wanted the ground to swallow me. The waiter looked so confused and then so happy because probably they never sold so much water in one order.
How did that even happen, Tom?
Well, I wanted to sound polite and cool, like I know how to order. And I said something like, "We'll have 20 sparkling waters, please." I wanted to say 2, but for some reason my brain thought 20 sounded better.
Oh my gosh, Tom, that is crazy. So today's episode is perfect for you and everyone listening because we are going to talk about how to order food like a pro. Restaurant vocabulary, idioms, and cultural tips. We don't want what happened to Tom to happen to you.
Absolutely. Please learn from my mistake. Let's start with the basics. When you go to a restaurant, you need to know some useful phrases. For example, I would like or can I have. These are very polite ways to order food. You don't say, "Give me chicken." That sounds rude. Instead, you say, "I would like the chicken, please." Or, "Can I have the chicken, please?" Adding please is important. It makes you sound polite.
Yes, very important. And notice the structure of I would like. This is a conditional form. We say I would like instead of just I like because it sounds more polite and softer. For example, I like pizza means in general. But if you want to order, you say I would like a pizza. You can also use I'll have, which is short for I will have. So I'll have the burger. That is another very common phrase.
And you know what? Sometimes learners ask, what is the difference between I want and I would like? Technically, both are correct, but I want sounds stronger and less polite. So in a restaurant, always try to use I would like or can I have. For example, you can say, "Can I have a glass of water?" Or "I would like a coffee, please."
Yes. Do you know what a menus is?
It's the list of food and drinks you can order in the restaurant. But sometimes you also hear the word specials. The specials are dishes that the chef recommends or that are only available that day. For example, the waiter might say, "Our special today is grilled salmon with vegetables." That means it is something special for that day.
And talking about vocabulary, do you know what starter means? In American English, we usually say appetizer. In British English, they say starter. It is the small dish you eat before the main course. For example, you can order a starter of soup or an appetizer of garlic bread, and the main dish is called the main course. Then at the end, we have dessert. That is the sweet part, like cake or ice cream.
Exactly. And now let's talk about drinks. When you order drinks, you can say, "Can I have a glass of water?" Or "Can I have a bottle of water?" And if you want sparkling water, that means water with bubbles. Still water means water without bubbles.
Yes. Let me explain some of these words clearly. Sparkling water is water with gas like little bubbles. We also say carbonated water. Still water is normal water with no bubbles. And sometimes when you order soda, you can say, "I'll have a soda" or "I'll have a soft drink." Soft drink means a drink without alcohol.
Wait, I'm confused. What's the difference between a soft drink and soda?
Sure, a soft drink is any non-alcoholic, usually sweetened beverage. Soda is a type of soft drink that is carbonated, meaning it has bubbles. So, all sodas are soft drinks, but not all soft drinks are sodas. For example, Coke, Fanta, and Sprite are all soft drinks, and they're also sodas because they're fizzy.
Great. And this is where my disaster happened. When you order, you can also say the number. For example, "Can I have 2 bottles of sparkling water, please?" Notice we say 2 bottles of sparkling water, not 2 sparkling waters. The correct phrase is 2 bottles of sparkling water.
Yes, because water is an uncountable noun. That means we cannot count it like 1 water, 2 waters. Instead, we use a container word like a glass of water, a bottle of water. Other examples of uncountable nouns are milk, rice, and sugar. You don't say 1 rice, you say a bowl of rice.
Great grammar point there. Another cultural tip. In many English-speaking countries, it is normal to leave a tip.
A tip is extra money you give to the waiter for good service. For example, in the US, the normal tip is about 15 to 20% of the bill. In the UK, it is usually 10 to 15%, and sometimes the tip is included in the bill as a service charge, so you need to check the bill.
Yes, and talking about the bill, some people confuse bill and check. In American English, we say check. In British English, we say bill. For example, in the US, you say, "Can I have the check, please?" In the UK, you say, "Can I have the bill, please?"
Good point. Now, let's make it a bit fun. Imagine you are at a restaurant and the waiter asks, "Would you like something to drink?" What do you say?
I would say, "Yes, I'd like a lemonade, please." And notice I said I'd like. That is a contraction of I would like. It sounds natural and polite.
Perfect example, and let's explain the word contraction. A contraction is when we join two words together with an apostrophe. For example, I would becomes I'd. Another example is you are becomes your. These make your English sound more natural.
Exactly. And another tip when ordering. If you don't know what to order, you can ask, "What do you recommend?" Or, "What is your specialty?" This is a great way to ask the waiter for advice.
And let's teach an idiom. The idiom on the house. If something is on the house, it means it is free. For example, if the restaurant gives you a dessert for free, the waiter might say, "The dessert is on the house. Isn't that nice?"
Totally. And when you want the waiter to bring your food quickly, you can say, "Could you please bring the food as soon as possible?" But always be polite. Never say, "Hurry up." That sounds rude.
And here is another cultural thing. In some countries, people share food from one plate. In many English-speaking countries, it is common for each person to have their own plate. If you want to share, you can ask, "Can we have an extra plate?" Or "Can we share this dish?" It is polite to tell the waiter.
Yes. And let's also explain the word dish. A dish can mean the plate itself, but it also means the food prepared in a special way. For example, my favorite dish is spaghetti. So a dish is a specific food.
That is so true. But imagine saying that in a real conversation like, "My favorite dish is spaghetti," and the other person says, "Oh, nice, mine is a bowl." That would be so awkward, right?
Yes, like they think you mean the actual plate. But no, we mean the meal, the food. And you know what? There is another funny thing. Some learners say plate when they mean dish. Like they say, "My favorite plate is pizza." It sounds like they have a favorite plate at home.
Oh my gosh, yes. I would imagine a person hugging a plate like, "I love you, plate." So guys, remember this. Dish means the food, not the ceramic plate. And plate is the thing you put food on. You can say a plate of pasta, but not my favorite plate is pasta.
Perfect. And you know what is another common mistake? In English, it's normal to say, "I am full," when you cannot eat more.
Yes, but you have to be careful. Don't say, "I am complete." That sounds like you finished a video game or something. Always say, "I am full." For example, after a big meal, you can say, "Wow, I'm full. That was delicious."
Exactly. And talking about awkward situations, Jessica, do you remember that time I didn't know how to pronounce quinoa? The waiter just stared at me.
Oh, yes, but don't worry, that's a hard word for everyone.
Yes, but it made me think. Many menus have words from other languages like French or Italian, and it can be intimidating. So if you don't know how to pronounce something, just point to it on the menu and say, "I'll have this, please." That is totally fine.
Absolutely. Nobody will judge you. And by the way, the word menu is from French originally. But don't worry, listeners, if these words sound confusing, just remember you can always ask the waiter, "What does this mean?" For example, you can say, "Excuse me, what does quinoa mean?" That's a very polite question.
Exactly. And let me explain something about grammar here. When you ask, "What does this mean?" Notice the structure. What does this mean? Not, "What means this?" That is incorrect. You need the auxiliary verb does. So the correct question is, what does this mean?
Great points. And also, if you want to ask about pronunciation, you can say, "How do you pronounce this?" But that is optional if you really want to try saying it.
Now, let's talk about desserts, because that is my favorite part of the meal. And you know what word is funny? The word dessert has two S letters. If you only put one S, it becomes desert, like the Sahara Desert. So remember this trick. You want two S because you always want more dessert?
That is the best trick ever. Yes, dessert has two S because you want seconds, and a desert is where camels live. So don't confuse them, or you might say, "I love eating dessert," and people will think you eat sand.
Imagine that. And when you order dessert, you can say, "Can I see the dessert menu?" Some restaurants have a separate menu just for desserts.
Yes, and let's explain the word separate. It means not together in a different part. For example, we have a separate room for parties. Or, this bill is separate from that one. In a restaurant, the dessert menu is separate from the main menu.
Speaking of bills, do you know what happened to me once? I went with a friend, and we didn't know how to say we wanted to pay separately. So we just said, "2 bills, please." And the waiter gave us 2 random bills from other tables.
No way. Ha ha ha. That is so funny.
Yes! The correct way to say it is, "Can we split the bill?" Or "Can we have separate checks?" In British English, you say, "Can we have separate bills?" In American English, checks is more common.
Great tip. And here's another one. If you want to say you are paying for everyone, you can say, "It's on me." For example, "Don't worry, dinner is on me." That means you are paying.
Yes, and we also say, "I'm treating you," or "It's my treat." For example, "I'm treating you to dinner," or "It's my treat tonight." These are very common expressions.
I love those phrases. And you know what is interesting? In some countries, people fight for the bill, like they insist on paying. Once I was in Spain and people really insisted on paying the bill, they almost fought over it. I've seen that happen in other countries too. It's interesting how in some places everyone wants to pay, while in English-speaking countries, we usually just say, "I'll get this one, you get the next one," so the other person pays next time.
Yes, that's a very natural way to handle it. And let's explain that phrase, "I'll get this one." It doesn't mean you will physically take the bill and keep it. It means you will pay. For example, in a coffee shop, you can say, "I'll get this one," when you want to pay for your friend.
Now, let's imagine a funny scenario. Tom, let's pretend you are at a restaurant and the waiter asks you, "Are you ready to order?" What do you say?
I would say yes. "I'd like the grilled chicken with mashed potatoes, please." And then the waiter says, "Would you like anything to drink?" And I say, "Yes, I'll have a lemonade."
Perfect. But what if you are not ready? You can say, "Not yet, can we have a few more minutes?" Or, "We need a little more time, please." That sounds polite.
Yes, don't just say no. That sounds too short. Always add something polite like, "Not yet, please."
Another phrase you might hear is, "How would you like it cooked?" This is common when you order steak. They want to know if you want it rare, medium, or well done. Rare means the meat is almost raw, very red inside. Medium is cooked but still pink inside. Well done means completely cooked, no pink inside.
Yes, and some people say medium rare or medium well. So if you like it a little more cooked than medium, you can say medium well.
Let's explain the word rare. Normally, rare means something that is not common. For example, it's rare to see snow in the city, but in food, rare means undercooked, almost raw.
Great explanation. And let's also talk about sauces because menus often have many sauces like barbecue sauce, ketchup, or mustard. If you don't want sauce, you can say, "No sauce, please." Or if you want it on the side, you can say, "Can I have the sauce on the side?" That means they bring the sauce in a separate small container.
Yes, that phrase is so useful, on the side. For example, "Can I have the dressing on the side?" That means not on the salad, but in a small bowl. So you can control how much you put.
And one last funny story before we finish. One time, I wanted to sound healthy, so I ordered a salad and I said, "No dressing." And then the salad came completely dry, just leaves, no taste. So now I always say, "Dressing on the side," so I can add a little.
That is a smart tip. So everyone listening, remember these magic phrases. Can I have? I would like. On the side, and can we split the bill? And don't forget to say please and thank you.
Yes. And if you don't understand something, don't panic. Just say, "Could you explain this, please?" Or, "What does this mean?" That's completely normal.
We hope this episode helps you avoid ordering 20 bottles of water like Tom.
Please don't do that. My wallet is still crying.
Thank you for listening to Story Orbit N. We had so much fun with you today.
Tell us, what is your favorite dish? And have you ever had a funny experience at a restaurant? We would love to hear your stories. Bye, everyone.
See you in the next episode.